Okay, well, welcome everyone to today's episode of Check It Out with Vista. Today's episode is on the Clicks keyboard for the iPhone. And to tell us all about their new keyboard, we have with us Jeff Gadway from Clicks. Welcome, Jeff. We're all excited to learn all about your new keyboard.
Hey, thanks, Bob. Really appreciate the invitation to join Vista. I was so delighted to get your email there in January and have been looking forward to this for quite some time. I did prepare some materials to take folks through. So, Bob, if you could just let me know once this is on screen, if you can see it.
Yes, I can see it.
Super. So, as Bob mentioned, my name is Jeff Gadway. I lead marketing for a company called Clicks Technology. Clicks is a company that was just unveiled in January. And our first product is the Clicks keyboard for iPhone. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a keyboard accessory that you can connect to your iPhone so that you can get all the benefits of buttons and tactile typing together with the iPhone and all of the apps and features that come along with it. So what I wanted to do today was take you through some of the story and the backstory tied to Clicks and talk about some of the functionality that people have indicated that they really like since we launched this product just a couple of months ago. And then I'd really love to get your feedback and hear what you think about it and learn a little bit more from this community how we could build this product to serve this community and offer you some really compelling value. So with that, let me get into it. I thought I'd start with a short little overview video. Share sound. Okay, we should be good to go now. Glad I caught it.
Introducing Clicks. Clicks is a keyboard accessory. The connection to the iPhone is made through its Lightning or USB port, so there's no Bluetooth link to worry about, nor any onboard battery. To keep the keys bright at night, there's a built-in backlight, and a pass-through port on the bottom lets you charge your phone without taking off the case. And, of course, the star of the show is around front. 36 polycarbonate buttons mated to a silicone membrane, laid atop nickel-plated dome switches to finally lock in that perfect click. Why bring back something so many consider to be obsolete? Three big things: space, shortcuts, and sensation. On iOS or Android, the virtual keyboard takes up a ton of screen space. A space that's hugely valuable if you're live streaming or even typing inside a long message or document. Physical keyboards give you the whole screen to work on, so you can consume and create at the same time. Then there's shortcuts, familiar to anyone who's used a Mac or an iPad with a keyboard. Command H takes you home, Command Space opens Spotlight Search, Spacebar scrolls down, and different apps like Safari and Mail have their own quick actions too. And finally, sensation. Typing on a physical keyboard is just more satisfying. There's a more ephemeral satisfaction that comes with clicking instead of tapping. Steve Jobs was right 17 years ago. If phones were going to reach the next phase of evolution, the physical keyboard had to go. But sometimes we look back on something we threw out a while back and say, you know what? Maybe there's some good stuff we sacrificed along with the bad. In other words, maybe we threw the buttons out with the bathwater. So let's change that. Introducing Clicks.
Okay, so that's the quick overview. And I thought I would then dive into some more of what Michael talked about in his video. Here on the screen, you see a few different views of Clicks. On the left-hand side, this is the Clicks keyboard from the front. It essentially is a case with the keyboard as an accessory, whether that's an iPhone 15 with its USB, it just starts to work. Around the back of Clicks, there's a plug that allows you to charge your phone as you normally would. Now, from a tactility perspective, if you're looking at this and you're wondering kind of what it feels like in your hands, the side rails of the product kind of have a grippy, soft, tactile feel, almost like a silicone, and the back has a very hard resin-like feel. So when you're holding it in your hands, it feels much more like a phone than a case. So that's sort of the physical design of the product. And then if we zoom in on the keyboard, it has a full QWERTY keyboard laid out just as you would find on your laptop or your iPad keyboard, with all of your letters, all of your alternate characters like numbers and symbols. And then there's some kind of unique buttons that actually bring a tremendous amount of value. And I'll spend just a couple minutes talking about them. The Shift key and the Alt key in the bottom left-hand corner of the keyboard, you can either use them to input like one uppercase letter or one number, or if you double tap those buttons, it will go into like a Shift lock or an Alt lock. So if you needed to type a phone number or you were putting in like a credit card number, you can easily enable Alt lock to just go to your numbers and symbols. The globe key allows you to change languages. So if you like to have multiple languages on your keyboard, in my case here in Canada, I have English and French, I can just cycle through those languages by pressing the globe key. The command button is quite unique because it allows you to trigger a number of shortcuts, and we'll talk about those in detail. But just as I heard Bob at the onset of this call explain some of the keyboard shortcuts for, say, raising and lowering your hand or going on and off mute, Clicks allows you to access a number of keyboard shortcuts on your iPhone for the first time, because never before has there been a physical keypad on an iPhone. So that gives you a lot of functionality. The tab key is great, whether you're moving between fields, like in an email, you can move between your to field or your subject field or your body text field by pressing the tab key. But another thing that's really neat is that if you put your iPhone into accessibility mode, the tab key allows you to move through the different fields on your screen. So if you had accessibility turned on and the screen reader turned on, tab could allow you to really easily navigate through all of the different things on your screen. The symbol button allows you to raise and lower the virtual keyboard. So if you did still want the on-screen keyboard, you can do that very easily. And then finally, the microphone button in the bottom right-hand corner works a couple of different ways. If you're in a field where you're looking to write something, let's say you're writing an email or you're writing a text message, if you just tap on the microphone button once, it turns on speech to text. So you can just speak and have it put the text right on the screen. Or if you press and hold the microphone button, it triggers Siri. So there's a lot of functionality built here into the keyboard. And I just wanted to take a few minutes to go through that for you. Another neat thing that folks have identified is that because Clicks works so closely with the Apple operating system, you can configure all of the modifier keys that we just talked about. So the Shift key, the Command key, the Globe key. iOS allows you through the keyboard settings to actually change what those buttons allow you to do. So if you had a particular use case where you wanted to reconfigure how those buttons behave because you wanted them to do something a little bit different that suited your particular needs, you can configure those a little differently to your own specifications, which is kind of a neat feature. We'll go through some of the key features of Clicks. The first one I'll show you just a quick video of is how you put it on and take it off. We really tried to design it in a way that allowed you to add it when you needed it or take it off when you didn't need it, or just leave it on all the time, depending on how you like to use it. but I'll just show you really quickly how simple it is to install and remove just through a really short 5-second video. You insert the phone at a shallow angle, secure it to the connector, and then just stretch the Clix case over it. I'll show one more time here. So you slide it on, push it over the connection port, and then just adjust the top of the case around your phone, and then you're ready to go. You don't have to install an app. You don't have to connect Bluetooth. As soon as you plug it in, your phone will recognize that there's a keyboard attached, and you can start typing away. The second thing that's really neat about Clix is that when you move the keyboard off the screen and onto a physical keyboard like Clix, what that means is that you get back all of that screen real estate for your apps and your content. The virtual keyboard on an iPhone or any smartphone these days takes up between about 45 and 50% of your screen real estate. So here in this scenario, if I was looking to add a caption to a photograph, taking the keyboard off the screen and putting it into a physical keypad beneath your phone gives you a lot more room to work with, which is pretty neat. This also comes in really handy if, say, you're in a text message or in a chat and you just want to see more of your screen. Your content isn't obscured by your keyboard. You have much more real estate to work with. And then finally, with a number of different applications, whether you're writing a message or you're maybe say in a note here, this person is creating a to-do list or a shopping list. Again, you have much more screen real estate available to you because that keyboard isn't occupying 50% of your screen. So that's kind of the first value proposition, this screen real estate story. The second one, I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier with the command key, and the video touched on this briefly, but you get keyboard shortcuts for the first time on your iPhone. Now, just as there are keyboard shortcuts built into a lot of the applications on your computer today, all of these shortcuts are already inherently in the operating system of iPhone. But the funny thing is, because iPhone has never had a keyboard before, there's been no way for its users to access these shortcuts and make them part of their workflows. So there are literally dozens of shortcuts across many of the most common applications that you use every day, but I'm going to highlight just a couple of my favorites for you here today. The first is a shortcut that allows you to get back to your home screen from literally anywhere. You could be in any application, you could be in any screen, and if you want to really quickly get back home to your home screen, you just press the command button, and then at the same time, you press the H key. So it's like Command H goes home. Here's a quick little demonstration of that shortcut. So the user presses the command button and then taps the H key, and they are taken back home. Command H, they go home. So that's a really quick one. I use it all the time. It's like getting back to home base. Another one that's really neat is when you're on a web page and you want to scroll through your web page. Let's say you're reading a news article or you're browsing one of your favorite sites, and you want to just scroll down one page at a time. I don't know if folks remember on the old PCs, there was literally a page down button. And when you pressed page down, it would just take you through whatever page you're on, kind of one screen at a time. Well, Clix makes it really easy to do that when you're browsing the web by pressing the space bar. So here's what that looks like. If I'm on a web page and I want to scroll through the page, I just tap the space bar and the page scrolls down one page at a time. So you don't have to reconfigure how you're holding your phone to scroll through the web page. You can just tap the space bar. So those are just two examples of some of the shortcuts that Clix supports. And there are, like I said, literally dozens of others across apps like Mail, apps like music, things like the voice recorder. There's just tons of different shortcuts to discover. And then the final thing I'll kind of talk about from a usability perspective is just the benefits of buttons. I mean, people still rely on the tactility of buttons every day on their laptops, on their iPads with a keyboard accessory. And so it only makes sense to add a keyboard to your iPhone as well. Buttons are just better for so many different types of tasks, whether that's writing a longer email or editing a document. They just give you that confidence that you have that tactile feedback, and they're great for longer writing sessions. So we tried to bring the same kind of physical keyboard experience to an iPhone that you would get on your laptop or many tablets today. So it's great for something like writing a document, for example. This is a Word document. Doing something like this on a smartphone is kind of hard because typing on glass just doesn't have any depth to it. And it's also hard to type for long periods of time on glass because it can be hard on your fingers. So we're really excited about that benefit too. Now, I just wanted to call out a couple of important distinctions here between clicks and some keyboard phones of the past. I'm not sure how many folks here were BlackBerry users once upon a time. I certainly was. In fact, I worked at BlackBerry for the better part of 10 years. And so when people see clicks, they often say, hey, well, that doesn't look like a BlackBerry. Is it as good as a BlackBerry? And quite frankly, we think it's better in many ways. We had some of the industrial designers from the original BlackBerries working with us to design clicks. And so we were able to benefit from all of the industrial design and ergonomic expertise of the BlackBerry designers, but also kind of reinterpret that for 2024. So you'll notice with clicks on the left-hand side of the screen, we've gone to round buttons instead of square buttons. And that actually has some important ergonomic benefits. Because there's a little bit more space between the buttons, it makes them easier for your fingers to find. You have more edges, more ridges, and so there's more confidence in just finding those from a touch typing perspective. And a lot of users say that the space actually helps to distinguish and differentiate between the buttons more easily. So we're really excited about that. And then the other thing too is that we've been able to add more corner keys. So again, corner keys are prime real estate because they're more findable for your thumbs. So if you look at clicks on the left-hand side of your screen, essentially we've got 6 corner keys. The Q key and the P key are easy to find because they're in the top right and left-hand corners. The shift key and the return key are easy to find because they are in the second row on the right and left-hand side and kind of have bottom corners. And then the symbol key and the microphone key are also corner keys because they're inset from those from the edges. So it makes them really easy to find too. So it just becomes a lot more muscle memory friendly in terms of having those corner keys compared to say the uniform row length on the BlackBerries from in the past. So that's kind of how clicks distinguishes from some of the past keyboard phones. What I wanted to leave you with before we kind of wrap up and go to Q&A is just some of the response that we've seen to clicks in the last couple of months since we launched. So I'll leave you with this last short clip. It's about a minute or so, and then we'll kind of wrap it up, and I'd be eager to get your feedback and take your questions.
Clicks for iPhone is a keyboard accessory.
We found this iPhone case with this keyboard. It's from a company called Clicks.
Tell me about this keyboard.
This is Clicks technology. People are proud about it. It is a keyboard that is sliding to your iPhone.
Dude.
People are freaking out just like you are about
Clicks.
They want their iPhone.
This went viral on Twitter.
It did.
By moving your keyboard off screen, you get all of your screen back for apps and content.
So it was a pretty fun week there in Las Vegas. Bringing clicks to the world. I saw John smiling there when the gentleman from the Today Show was reacting to it. We've had some really good response from around the world, and it's interesting when we think about who is responding well to this. Folks really fall into three camps. There's this first camp of people who used keyboard phones of the past, whether it was a BlackBerry or something else, and they're telling us that they've always wanted buttons on their iPhone because they missed their BlackBerry or they missed their keyboard. So there's certainly a lot of latent love for keyboards out there, no doubt. But we're also seeing this second group, people who think that Clicks is just fun and it's new and it's fresh and it's creative. It helps them stand out, and that there's some new functionality that brings some new utility to their iPhone. And then the third group is really heartwarming to see. Individuals who maybe struggle to type on touchscreens for a variety of reasons. We've heard from folks with accessibility challenges. We've heard from folks who, as they age, they're not able to use touchscreens as well, because it's a little known fact that in order for a touchscreen to work, you need to have a certain amount of oils in your fingers on your skin to complete that capacitive touch connection. And as we age, we gradually produce fewer of those oils, so it becomes harder to use a touchscreen effectively. So we hear from those individuals, and we also hear from a number of people in the blind and partially sighted community who say that Clicks will help them to use their phone in a new or better way than in the past. And so that's absolutely incredible, and we really want to try to figure out how we can serve that community as we continue to build the product. So that's kind of who has been responding well to Clicks. And then the phones it's available for, again, we're still a pretty new company. So right now we're only supporting the iPhone 15 and iPhone 14, the most recent iPhones, in both the Pro and Pro Max sizes. So the regular size and the large size. And it does come in two colors, just in case you're wondering. There's a really fun, bright, vibrant yellow color that we're calling Bumblebee, and a kind of bluey gray color that we're calling London Sky. And when people ask us, why is it called London Sky? Well, Clicks is actually a London, UK based company. And so when the team was, looking at the color, they thought, boy, that actually looks like the gray, dreary sky that we see every day. So we'll just call it London Sky. That's it for my presentation. If you're looking for more information on Clicks, you can find it at clicks.tech. That's where we've got all of the product information and all the details on the different products. But with that, I'd love to just wrap up the presentation, and would love to get your feedback and any questions that you might have.
Well, great. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you sharing all of that with us today. Are you able to share with us any future phones that you're currently designing Clicks for?
Yeah, good question. Good question. I mean, we've had a lot of interest from the Android community, and it's something that we're certainly evaluating, something that we're considering. Right now we're really focused on building the best keyboard product for iPhone. There's certainly a large and receptive market out there for iPhone, so we're starting there. But with the response that we've gotten from Android phone users, we're certainly going to look at it. And then in terms of other iPhone models, we're still evaluating whether we will support earlier models. I mean, we're still a new company, and every new SKU, every new model that you support adds additional supply chain and distribution complexity. So we really want to make sure that we don't take on more than we can handle right out of the gate. But as the interest in Clicks grows, we'll no doubt continue to look at how we can make this accessible to more folks.
And then I'm familiar with Bluetooth keyboards connected to my phone. And with those, there can be a certain latency between your typing and it actually responding on the screen. How does clicks respond?
Yeah, great question. That was one of the reasons why we didn't want to include a Bluetooth connection. By connecting directly to the phone through the Lightning or USB port, there is zero latency. There's no latency because we're plugging right in as an external hardware keyboard. So that was an important consideration for us and why we chose the design that we did, because we'd seen those same keyboards in the past and heard from customers that was a subpar experience. So as soon as you plug it in, it's recognized. You don't have to set it up. You don't have to turn it on. You just plug it in and go.
Great, thank you. Ryan, do we have folks with other questions?
We do. John Glass, I see that you have your hand raised.
Oh, thank you very much, Ryan. I wanted to ask you what the availability of this product is here in the U.S. and if someone would like to get one, how do they go about that? And can you give us a general idea of what the price is?
Yeah, certainly, John. Great questions. Thanks for asking. We are shipping globally. So many of the customers we have so far are based in the US. The product is priced at $139 US, and you purchase it through our website, clicks.tech. Now, I will say we sold out of our initial batch because the demand just far exceeded our wildest dreams. We're more than thrilled at the response. So we're currently waiting to restock, but we hope to be able to start shipping again in the next couple of weeks. But the place to go is clicks.tech, and even though it's not shipping right now because of that out of stock situation, you can reserve one, for no money. You just give us your email address and what phone you're on, and as soon as we have stock, we will send out a message and folks can order it, and it'll be shipped right to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome, John. Thanks for the question.
Great question, John. Gina, I see that you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Good morning. If we have further questions regarding this, do we also just go to clicks.tech?
Yeah, certainly. What I can also do, Gina, because that's a great question, and I would love to take your questions, answer your questions. Bob, you can let me know if you think this is okay or not, but I'm happy to have Bob and Vista share my email address, and if you have questions, you're welcome to direct them to me personally, and I'd be happy to make sure you get those taken care of.
Well, that would be wonderful. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, you can share your email, or I can also send that out to everybody who's registered for today's meeting.
Yeah, you can send it out. It's if it's easy for folks. My email is pretty simple. It's Jeff, so Jeff at clicks.tech, CLICKS.TECH, Jeff at clicks.tech.
Thanks,
Great.
Jeff. Does anyone else have any other questions? Currently, I don't see any other hands being raised.
If there are no questions, I would love to ask, one or two of my own, if it's appropriate. I think we've been most delighted by the response that we've heard from folks saying that this would help them as an accessibility device in many respects. And now we've started thinking, how can we build this product to serve communities with accessibility needs? We've heard from individuals that are blind or partially sighted, that this could be helpful because of the touch typing. We've heard from individuals with joint mobility challenges that struggle on touchscreens. And I'm just curious, if there are things that we could or should be thinking about to try to build this product so that it can be as valuable to this community as possible. We would love any input or feedback.
Thank you, Jeff. That's a really great question. And thank you for wanting to connect with us. Um, Me personally, being visually impaired, and also I'm one of the assistive technology specialists here at the center. I think that this is fantastic, and I'm so happy to hear that it's kind of like a happy accident, if you will, being that it can really benefit the blind and visually impaired. Um, Having the ability to kind of tab through, you did say that I think it was using tab and going through, you can navigate your device with VoiceOver, the screen reader. Uh, can you do control or shift and tab backwards?
That's a really good question. I might have to check on that. I think there's a very good chance,
Right.
because with some of the shortcuts I was sharing with you, say, scrolling through a web page, to scroll down through a web page, you just press the space bar. To scroll up through a web page, you press shift space and it goes upwards. Same thing with tabbing through fields on a form or tabbing through an email. You can tab, you can also control tab, and it'll do the reverse. So I would think that might work, but that's something I can certainly look into.
Definitely. And then one other question in regards to the physical buttons on the J and K. Is it J and K? No, the F and J. Sorry, the F and J. Are there tactile, like little nubs on there?
There sure are, yeah. So that really helps with that findability and that home row, knowing that your fingers are on the appropriate starting spots.
Yeah, definitely. One last thank you. That's perfect. One last thing too is we had talked about kind of people's dexterity and people's and individuals that have maybe some sensational differences and not being able to use a touchscreen as easily. Um, some of our clients have diabetic retinopathy is one of their conditions, which then they therefore have diabetes and other ailments that comes with that, which also means that sometimes their fingers, they don't have a lot of, they have neuropathy and they don't have a lot of sensation. Are you guys looking into potentially like taller buttons or like spaced out buttons a little bit more? I do love that there's circle as in giving more space for the keyboard, but are you looking at potentially making it more tactile, even more so than it already is?
That's a really good question. I'll have to take that back to the team. What I'll say is that in designing the keyboard, we went through literally dozens of iterations. We looked at different key shapes. Should they be flat? Should they be domed keys? Key tactility, should they be more grippy and rubberized or harder? But then we also thought a lot about things like how much the key should travel. How much should the key travel before you actuate the button? How much force should you need to put on the key in order to actuate the button, like actuation pressure? So I think we set it to about 120 grams of pressure. What should the audible click sound like? So we really tried to optimize it so that there was a distinctive click to it and a good amount of travel without making it too hard to press or too deep to press. So I don't know if I'm answering your question other than to say we tried to give it a lot of careful consideration to optimize it for the right sensation, both tactile wise and audible wise. But I think you bring up some good points I can take back to the team, and we can think about how we can continue to dial that in.
Thank you. Yeah, part of that might just be trial and error as it continues to grow in, the blind and low vision community and getting their feedback,
Well,
Um,
in fact, I was gonna mention that to Chef Ryan.
yeah,
Vista often partners with technology companies to conduct user studies on their products. And if that's something that Clicks would be interested in, we could certainly connect you up with the appropriate people at Vista to get a focused user group from the blind and visually impaired community to offer feedback to you.
That sounds great, Bob. That would be fantastic. We've definitely got some ideas. I'm not, don't think we're quite ready to share yet, but as we've seen the response to Clicks, we've got some ideas around how we can make accessibility a bigger focus for us and what we're doing. And we'd love a partner to help us develop some of those. So I'll definitely take you up on that.
Perfect, thanks. Gina, I see that you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
That was great what Bob suggested, because I was also thinking if it was at a location where you could see and feel it, so that you would know maybe if it's going to work for you versus just purchasing, online and not really knowing, because so many of us have more than one challenge, whether it's visually and dexterity wise. What that could be for every person could be very different. So was just wondering if you've ever thought of leaving it somewhere like Vista so that we could try it out a bit.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think you raise a really good point, Gina, that something like this, after we've been conditioned for so long to type on glass or other types of phones, it actually takes feeling to believing, right? And it takes a little bit of time to reestablish or establish that muscle memory. I think a lot of people pick up Clicks, and at first it might feel like they type a little slower or less accurately because they're not conditioned to use a physical keyboard. And then, within a few minutes or a few hours, that kind of comes back, and they start feeling a lot more confident. So I think that's a great idea. And maybe in my follow-ups with Bob and the team, we could see about sending a few down to to Vista to get it in some folks' hands.
Where are you located in the United States?
Oh boy, that's a good question. The company is officially based in London, UK, and we have folks on the team really around the world. So I'm here in Canada, just outside of Toronto. We've got folks in the Bay Area. One person who's a product advisor is in the Bay Area. And then we've got folks in, a bunch of different countries around the world. So we actually don't have a US office, so to speak, but we definitely have a presence.
Okay, great, thanks.
Awesome. Tom, I see that you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jeff, for later on down the road, I don't know if you're aware of the large national organizations that have their conferences in the first week of July, national blind organizations, and they're, probably a couple thousand, and they have tech hall with accessibility departments of Amazon, Google, Microsoft. I don't know if you're aware of those.
No, I wasn't familiar with that particular show, but I'll have to look into it, because it would be great to take Clicks to something like that and get some feedback live. I know that one of my colleagues, Jonathan, who's based in the UK, has been chatting with I think it's the RNIB over there.
I'm thinking specifically of two organizations, NFB, or National Federation of the Blind. They're going to have their conference at a very nice hotel in a hot part of Orlando in July. They're generally the first week of July. And so then you could teach a little class, and then you've got the tech hall with, I don't know, a couple thousand coming through. I'm extremely confident that you would have feedback in a half a day as to what works and what does not work. And then the other group ACB, American Council of the Blind, and they like to compete with each other and kind of have it at the same time, other than to say the tech halls would be offset just so the tech people can attend both of them, because they're not Republican or Democrat. They just want to sell and help to the blind. So
and they're in Florida
anyways,
as well.
Is that, yeah, I think it's Jacksonville this year,
Yes.
but maybe it's late for this year, and then partnering up with other people who could take your profits, and then they sell through their blind sales group, your product. So so then they could take care of that. But I think you would definitely have feedback, and then you're sitting there with Amazon, Google, Microsoft, accessibility, and the other groups. And, I would think that's a huge way to get your name out. And like I said, in a half a day, you would have an answer that you like or not.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing those couple of shows. That's fantastic. I'll have to look into those.
I'll send you.
So again, ACB, American Council of the Blind, NFB, National Federation of the Blind, and they're generally the first week of July in hot, undesirable places in order to keep the room rates down.
Jeff, I'll send you information on both of those. I have it readily available. I can send to you.
Thanks, Tom. John, I see that you have your hand raised.
Yes. I wondered if you had thought about maybe some kind of app to help you learn to touch type on your device.
It's like you're reading my mind, John. It's something that we're actively working on, whether it's an app or some kind of an onboarding experience. It's absolutely in the cards. We're working on that for early summer type time frame, so that people can learn how to use Clicks and get comfortable with it as they get introduced to the product. So definitely on our radar.
Okay, and it would have to be useful to people who can't see the screen at all. So it'd have to provide verbal feedback on what you're typing.
Oh, okay, great. I wonder if that's something that could be done, in conjunction with some of the screen reading capabilities that might already exist in Apple's operating system.
Well, I was also thinking you could connect with American Printing House for the Blind. They have a typing tutorial program. It's called Talking Typer. And I've used that in the past on my PC keyboard. Now I don't know how that would possibly integrate with the Clicks keyboard on an iPhone, but there'd certainly be somebody you could talk to about a typing program tutorial for the blind. So
that's great. So much insight, so much value. Thank you.
I was thinking that same thing, Bob. That's perfect. John, I'll go ahead and lower your hand now. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments? At this time, Bob, it doesn't look like anyone else is.
Okay.
Else
well, thank you everybody for joining us today for this edition of Tech It Out with Vista. And Jeff, thank you so much for sharing the Clicks keyboard with us. I think a lot of us are pretty excited about trying to check it out and get our hands on it and see exactly how it could benefit us. So I want to thank you for being here, and I'll be in contact with you to connect you up with some other Vista folks and see about getting some demonstration models that can be shipped out here to our Vista office. So
that'd be great.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate your time today. And thank you everybody for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you next month when we'll have a representative, Corey Honish from North State Assistive Technologies will be here sharing information about their products that they have. So